Hi everyone, Dom here from Esports News UK, back with another weekly news roundup, looking at all the esports stories that caught my attention both in the UK scene and globally as well. Quite a bit of League of Legends news this week, which is quite interesting. Let's get right into it. So first up, we have got Rect Global's London Call of Duty League slot. The roster has been finalised now, and our Esports News UK writer Joe Griffin has said it's a team with huge potential. And we've gone through the 5 players there. We've got Waskin. Scraps. They're twin brothers. Look, I even edited this and I missed that out. Dylan as well. And then you've got Jerd. And finally, it was Rated, Reece Price, who's joined the lineup. So fantastic to see UK and Ireland talent spearheading this lineup. The London lineup makes perfect sense. You've got a great management team led by Odie, the former the founder of Dignitas, who moved over to Rogue parent company Rect Global earlier this year. So good luck to those guys. Man City has partnered with FaZe Clan. It seems like this is going to be a content partnership. They'll be creating content with talent and players and host exclusive fan events in the US and around the world. I think Man City are still, throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks in esports. Nothing wrong with that. You know, they've got a few players like Shells, the UK FIFA talent. And, partnering with FaZe Clan, a massive org like that, makes sense for those guys. Be interesting to see what they do. Football clubs are still finding their way in esports, in my opinion. This was an odd story. There was a League of Legends team manager who worked in the UK scene. He's been hunted by North Yorkshire police for fraud, basically, and computer misuse offences, and for failing to appear at York Crown Court on August 18th, 2017. He's known as Turkinator, and most recently managed Fenerbahce in the Turkish scene. And so the police are after him. It got picked up by BBC News. Thanks Crane for sharing that. I managed to spot that. And we actually wrote about Turkinator a few times a couple of years ago, where he made a bit of an idiot of himself, saying that in the UK scene, if we don't end all games by 15 to 25 minutes, then I'd be ashamed. And then he went on to lose to Enclave in 21 minutes. So he was right. It did end by 15-25, but he didn't actually do the one that was winning the game. So some people were saying it's justice served to the team that he mucked about with. Macromaniacs, that was it. They failed to field a full roster against M&M Gaming in the ESL Premiership, back when League was still played in the ESL Premiership. And he just decided to leave to coach a Turkish Champions League team instead, and left the roster to disintegrate. There weren't enough people and the slot was lost. M&M's Rifty, then their top laner at the time, Rifty, described the split as easily the worst season of UK League of Legends in a fair while. So that's not very good. Bit of drama. Haven't written about this in a while, but there's a couple of things on this. Basically, Barrage Esports had 2 teams in the UKLC promotion tournament. So their main team got relegated into that promotion tournament from finishing in the bottom 2 of the most recent UKLC split. And then their second team going through into the promotion tournament is known as, I think it's Retirement Home. Yeah, there we go, Barrage Retirement Home. They won the separate Forge of Champions Open qualifier. So some people in the community were saying, how can they have the right to, they've got an unfair advantage because they've got 2 teams that are going to be playing each other. Is one going to throw to allow the other in? They're actually completely within the rules. So I can't blame Barrage for trying to do this. It's in the rules. LVP have come out and said they're going to update the rules. We can see here And they said that the Barrage teams have been warned about soft play and how it can and will lead to disqualification. If either team attempts to throw a game to place the other in a more favourable position, both teams will be disqualified. And basically they've said that the players own the slot, the second team. So if they get through, they obviously don't have to represent Barrage. They do what they like, but they're players of Barrage, so it's likely to hand the spot to that org. So LVP said they cannot prevent organisations from having pre-promotion agreements with teams participating in Forge of Champions, and that its focus lies with the players. And LVP will enforce a change of ownership if this situation does occur at any future promotion tournament. I think it's a bit of a storm in a teacup, this one, to be honest, but it raises an interesting question around teams allowing to field multiple rosters in the same promotion tournament. Elsewhere in UKLC news, LVP, the organisers, have ditched the tower format, which is like a sort of King of the Hill weekly knockout tournament where, the team that climbed the highest got to face the previous week's tower champion to try and take the tower and get more points. They've switched it up to a round robin now. And LVP have said, whilst we're happy the tower format provided a unique and entertaining angle for the league, ultimately we believe that the benefits were outweighed by the cons. So going back to a more traditional format, classic double round robin tournament that feeds into playoffs, and I understand that a few teams requested or wanted to see this. I admire the LVP and Riot for going down this this tower format. It's different, it's unique. I thought it was quite exciting when it launched. But I think the change, it's the right time to make a change. It's been going on for however long it is, almost a year or so now, I think. So I think it's good to have a change. And I was watching Forge of Champions earlier. I haven't watched it in a while. It's good to catch up and everything, and the production's great. So I hope that it carries on and continues and is successful. In other news, Fnatic have been knocked out of the EU Masters, sadly, in the semi-finals again. Really sad to see a UK team, another EU Masters without a UK team winning. They lost 3-0 to Giants Gaming in the semi-final. And this comes after they lost in the spring EU Masters semi-finals earlier in the year. So commiserations to Fnatic. Other League of Legends news, Evil Geniuses has purchased Echo Fox's slot in the LCS. Now this was previously rumoured that Arsenal's owners, Kroenke Sports and Entertainment, might be going for this slot. But they had complications with another org they were a part of that they had to deal with, and apparently that's why it didn't go through. So Evil Genius is stepping up. Very sad, the story of Echo Fox, owned by Rick Fox, of course, the famous former sportsman in the US. Long story. You can Google Rick Fox League of Legends into the whole hoo-ha around what happened. I won't go into that now because it's a very long story. But it's a shame to see him go. But I like the LCS. I actually prefer watching it to the EU LEC for some reason. I know people might say, "What are you talking about, Dom?" But that's my opinion. In a new section this week, titled "Things What Not to Tweet," I'm going to call it. We had this tweet from my favourite esports organisation, Diabolos Esports. After they beat Barrage's second team, which we mentioned earlier, they said the Zeng bootcamp of Snowden brings us a win versus Barrage. Retirement home edition, superior mental training. Maybe those guys need a similar trip to Switzerland for a true retirement. ... Give them hell. So if people don't know, Switzerland is home to an organisation called Dignitas. No, not the esports organisation, which is basically allows euthanasia, and people weren't happy in the scene. Diabolos have apologised. I will say that they've apologised and they took the tweet down quite quickly, but still, it's what not to tweet. Some people were saying it's people being too sensitive and things like that. A few people reacted here. Matt Darby saying people coming up with real creative ways to say kill yourself in 2019, laugh my ass off. And Jeff from Barrage, of course, the classic through me meme reaction. The best time to delete this tweet was immediately after sending it. Second best time is now. And Nutri, the former League of Legends UK scene player, said the worst org tweet of all time. Good job. So there we go. Moving on. ESL and Dreamhack have announced this is basically, I think we need better data in esports, especially in the UK scene. I don't know if this is going to cover the UK esports ecosystem, but we need better data. Newzoo are good at what they do. A lot of it, is estimations, but it's good to see. I'd like to see more analysts offering a similar service, and Nielsen have teamed up with ESL, so hopefully this should be a really good partnership. It's between ESL Dreamhack and Nielsen. They've announced a joint agreement which will further advance research standards in esports and provide greater confidence to brands and properties that are considering making investments in esports events. They'll be looking at the size of esports, the value for brands, that kind of things. Hopefully it'll give us some good data, and it'll be interesting to compare that data with Newzoo to see just how effective it is, just how big esports is. Sorry, there's another bit of League of Legends news here that I missed just earlier. Riot are going to form a new league covering is it SEA, is that Southeast Asia, I think, Hong Kong, Macau and Taiwan. A new 10-team league will be named the Pacific League Championship Series, or PCS. And there's further details to be revealed. It's going to launch next year, so great to see another league emerging there for League of Legends. Dignitas, who we were speaking about earlier, they've secured a $30 million round of funding. Dignitas owned, of course, by Harrods Blister Sports and Entertainment in the US, which hosts who do they own? Philadelphia 76ers and sports brands like that, and it was Odie, who's now with Rect Global, sold Dignitas to Harris Blitzer Sports and Entertainment a few years back. So more money coming in. Be interesting to see how they use that money. But certainly the org has changed a hell of a lot, had a rebrand and things since Odie sold it to Harris. Overwatch League. We have a winner of the latest league Season 2 playoffs. San Francisco Shock sweep the finals, and they won 4-0 in the finals, I believe. Does it say who they beat here? Wow. Does it actually say who they beat? Atlanta Reign, that's it, God. Yeah, they went an unbelievable 16-0 in the playoffs lower bracket, 4 straight 4-0 wins against Spitfire, LA Gladiators, Hangzhou Sparta, and then New York Excelsior. I think it was New York. This article isn't very clear here who they actually beat in the final. I think it was New York, I read in another article, but I could be wrong. Wow. I was quite surprised there. Eight teams competed. Doesn't actually say who they won in the final, but I believe it was New York. But yeah, apologies, guys. I did read that elsewhere. I should have kept the other one up. Sorry, that run earned them a spot in the grand finals against the Vancouver Titans. Sorry, it's the Titans. Yeah, the Titans still dominated their competition and went undefeated in the upper bracket. They put down Seoul Dynasty Gladiators and NYXL to book their tickets to Philly. That's it, right. Vancouver Titans. Oh, Jesus. I don't like criticising other journalists and things, but wow. Surely that should be in the opening line. Sorry, I'm going to move on. Let's not be critical here. Pawn has retired from professional league. There's another league story here. I've mucked this order up, haven't I, guys? Apologies for that. I wanted to highlight this one because he's 22, so, still got a good few years left in him. And but he's been retired. He's retiring from the Pro League of Legends scene due to mental health issues. So, this is important to highlight. I think he said he's been suffering from OCD, or obsessive compulsive disorder. So there's been translations here by Ashley Kang, and he suffers from OCD and could not play League if his setup was not in the exact way he needed it to be. So he was diagnosed with OCD back in 2018 and considered retiring then. But the OCD looks like it's come back and hit him again in a different way so suddenly. That's a sad story, because you can't help having something like OCD. I'm guessing his team would have looked at methods of therapy or anything like that. Maybe he didn't want therapy. Who knows? We don't know the full ins and outs of the story, but he's obviously got to the point where he thinks enough's enough. He can't play League. He's not happy with it because it needs to be set up in a certain way. And I feel for the guy, because I know a few people with OCD, and it's not an easy thing to have. So I really hope Pawn finds something else. Obviously a talented player, so good luck to him in the future. A couple of Fortnite bits here. It's turned 2 years old today. I mean, where the hell has the time gone? I remember it was when it came along, and it was sort of like seen as a competitor to PUBG, which is the biggest battle royale game at the time. 2 years on, I mean, where the hell is the time going, guys, here? Dreamhack has revealed $500,000 Fortnite community tournament, so that's the main news here. And those are going to take place at Dreamhack Winter and Anaheim, and no qualifiers will be held. No pre-qualifiers, sorry. Instead, a guaranteed slot will be given to anyone who purchases a BYOC ticket. So that's a great prize pool for a BYOC tournament. That is incredible. And obviously, I'm guessing a lot of that has come from the developers, Epic Games. Elsewhere, another League story. I've done this completely wrong today, haven't I, guys? It's all mashed in together. Where is the World's 2019 theme? It's the question that everyone is asking. We all love the annual World Championship songs, and the latest one isn't here yet. And the play-ins kick off tomorrow. So if you're listening to this, or depending on when you listen to this, October 2nd, and here we go. They're on the official League of Legends account. Someone said, "Where is the world's theme?" And League of Legends have replied, "It's not quite ready yet, I'm afraid, but we'll post it when we have it." I mean, good job turning that into an article. Gotta love Dixato. But I mean, that doesn't say anything, does it? I mean, it'll be out probably in the next week or so, I guess. This is an interesting one. German government has planned to offer improved visas to pro esports players. Germany have made some good leeway in their country in terms of like supporting esports. And their Ministry for Work and Social has drafted legislation for professional non-EU esports players to work and reside in the country. That's fantastic. Can we follow suit, UK, please? Is it that hard? I don't know how hard it is, but can we follow suit? Because these things are important, and I know that organisations and people in UK esports trying to bring talent in, move it out, have struggled with visa issues. I believe things have got better over the past year, but it'd be great if we can get more things like this as well. There we go. So any esports player who wants to apply for these visas would need to be at least 16, be employed by an esports team or registered in Germany, and must compete in a national or international league. It's simple, So this is interesting. The article highlights that esports is not recognised in Germany as a sport like the UK. The UK doesn't recognise it as a sport either, but it's still good that they're recognising it as an activity, as a professional industry, so that's good to see. Twitch has unveiled a redesign. I don't know what you guys think. I don't mind the logo. I mean, it's not too different. I can't really get to grips fully with this. It's going to take a while. I'm not a huge fan of the font. I think I can see the layout's okay. It's very clean. But I don't like just the font. I'm a bit fussy. I don't like the font, but I'm sure I'll get used to it. I like how clean it looks and minimalist. Minimalist sort of layouts seem to be the thing at the moment with Twitter and things like that. So I guess we're gonna have to get used to it. It's growing on me. It's growing on me. And lastly, guys, I've made a game. Can you believe it? I've made a game. I took part in a game jam. Like I said, I hinted in the video last week, I took part in a game jam where game developers swap places with journalists for the weekend. The journalists have to make a game and the developers report on them. And it was super fun. I was with a couple of really talented student developers, because as journalists, obviously, we can't be expected to code a game when we don't know how to code, so we got put with student developers. And I had Lewis, Reen and Adam Tedder, who were great guys to work with. And we made a maze game called Reboot. The theme was the brain, so the event was in partnership with Alzheimer's Research UK, and I like hacking games and Fallout, the hacking the computers and the thief sort of lockpicking mini games and things like that. And we thought we can't really do that with a human brain in the game because that'd be a bit weird. So why not a robot brain? So the idea is you control a little nanobot that goes around. And you've just got to get through the maze in as fast as you can in 1 minute 45, and if you hit the walls you lose time. So it's great. We added like multiple endings. We had 3 endings. I ended up designing a lot of the art, so you can download this game if you want. If you just go on the Esports News UK website and look for this article or search for Reboot on Game Jolt, you'll see all the stuff here. And there we go, I designed that sort of robot brain thing in the ear using pixel art, which was super fun. And can I skip this here? No, I don't think. There we go. So look, if we had more time, it would have been nice to animate the actual nanobot and things like that. But when you're on a game jam, you've just got to do everything quickly. So yeah, that was really good fun. And I ended up spending most of my Friday night last week going through a lot of old music that I wrote as a teenager, like recording guitar music when I was in a band. I had loads of songs on my computer because you need to find royalty-free music or music you've made yourself. And I spent all bloody night and some of the morning trying to convert it into chiptune, and found a converter, but it didn't sound quite right. I think where you use chords on a guitar, instead of just doing one note on the MIDI file on the chiptune, you could hear sort of like the 3 or 4 notes for each chord, and it sounded like a bit messy, but I managed to source some nice royalty-free music. So I'd love to hear what you think about the game. It was a great experience. Hats off to UK and Alzheimer's Research UK for doing it and for inviting me along, and a lot of great talented journalists and developers there. I hope they make this an annual thing. I encourage any dev or journalist to go along, because I've got a newfound respect for developers now. I always respected developers, but just learned how bloody hard coding is and things like that. And on that note of coding, just lastly, I saw this. I thought it was quite cool. Riot has launched a free game design curriculum called the Earth Academy Online, and they're inspiring the world's future game designers with this. It's for middle school and high school teachers in the US. I hope this is a worldwide thing. I'm not fully sure. It seems like it's US. It's an entry-level course that helps teach high school students the fundamentals of game design using interactive workshops created by Riot's own designers. That's very interesting. I'd like to reach out to Riot and see if they've got any plans for UK. Because I find that very interesting. Thank you for watching, guys. There's no Sacco Snackos this week because I've had a massive dinner. My wife and little one are away for a couple of days. I misjudged the amount of food to cook for myself, and I'm completely stuffed now. So I've got no Sacco Snackos for you this week. That's it. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. Please give me your feedback if you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you want more memes, you want more news about CSGO or whatever, just give me a shout, and I'll see you next time.